Good morning, gurus. Welcome to another episode. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Bitcoin halving is tomorrow, but Bitcoin is still bouncing off 59K, goes to 66K, then pulls back to 62K. Still looking weak going into the halving, which is not a good sign. Usually you want big news, big pumps going into the news announcement, and then the day of the news, that's usually when you have weakness and a drop. So if Bitcoin's already showing weakness and a drop right now, that's not such a good thing. Hit the subscribe button, smash up, thumbs up button, turn on the bell. Let's jump into technicals for Bitcoin now. My Bybit account around 612, bit of a bounce back, but still in the last 30 days, last 90 days still up a lot, last 30 days down massive. I did take out 100K, so it's only down around 200K. My Bitcoin trade, one Bitcoin, $570 in the negative. This account I'm holding Bitcoin one, I went mainly in cash near the top, which is pretty good. My strategy was very good. Who remembers when I sold the top? 284 cash, 67 in Bitcoin one, up 3% yesterday. MCRT about even, pocket 10%, 9% up. Dogecoin 4% up. WorldCoin pumped a lot yesterday, 7% up. Uniswap also 7% up. So all coins are getting a little bit of a bounce back. But I'm not convinced here. Why? Because again, Bitcoin, usually when you have some kind of an event, it pumps going into the event. We're having the halving, which is like quite a big thing. We've been waiting 4 years for this halving, and Bitcoin, I mean, look what it did before the halving. Like if you take it from the bottom, we're still from the bottom. If you were buying with me in November of 2022, we're up right now 300% on Bitcoin. So did it not pump? Can you say it didn't pump going into the halving when in the last even just this year, we're still up from Bitcoin from the beginning of the year, 62%. So can you still say Bitcoin didn't pump going to halving is the question. On the Elliott wave count, we're still on the third to fourth corrective wave. The problem is, before we thought the third to fourth corrective wave finished and we got a bounce, and we were saying that was the I was saying that was the fourth to fifth final impulse wave. The problem is now that third to fourth wave is not finished. So you're looking at Bitcoin price. What you're looking at here is trading view. You're looking at Bitcoin price moving over time. This was in the bottom from 2022, 2023, and you can see Bitcoin just climbing recently. This is the Elliott wave count. We had another Elliott wave count earlier on. If you followed my videos from the 16K, we had Elliott wave count here. And now we're in the second Elliott wave count after a new one. But that started, I would say, in October of last year, and we went from 26K all the way up to 60K, and people didn't believe me when I was saying that we would go up to this high, back at 16K. Now we're on the third to fourth correction. The only thing is that correction finished is the question. Because once this correction is finished, the third to fourth wave, we've got one more impulse wave, fourth to fifth final impulse wave, which is always smaller than the second to third wave. So even when Bitcoin finds a bottom, it will not go, this is a rule of Elliott wave count, it will not go further than this move here that Bitcoin did. It will be smaller than the second to third impulse wave, always. So in this case, if Bitcoin does find a bottom where we are right now, and it's smaller than the second to third impulse wave, that's why my target is at 88K for the final fourth to fifth wave. But the problem is, Bitcoin is not yet finished. We can't say that the third to fourth corrective wave is finished, because Bitcoin is still correcting. So you can't say it's finished when it's making new lows, like just recently. So how far can the third to fourth corrective wave go? It's always between 23% and 35%, the corrective wave. So right now we've corrected on Bitcoin 20%, which is close to that minimum. 23% is the minimum, which would put us at around 58K. And that's where I've got a lot of my 57K. I've got a lot of buy orders at 58K and 52K. If it does the maximum, which is 35%, that will pull us all the way back to 47K. And if anyone's saying that's not possible, one, you don't know what you're talking about, because Bitcoin went from 70K to 17K. It went from 20K to 3K. So going from 73K to 47, 48K is not unheard of, one. Two, we are in this corrective wave, but that's the worst case scenario. And I don't think it comes below 52K, too much support there. But according to Elliott wave count, and the major supports are actually at 48K. That's what's interesting. If you look at where the main support is on Bitcoin, the main area of support, it's at 48K. That's where you can see that there's a lot of support going back to the 2021 bull market. That's where we had resistance when we were coming up. So I would say the real massive area of support is at 48K. So it's very easily Bitcoin can do that and come back. But right now we're still holding. Stochastic is turning down on the weekly from very overbought. Now everyone's trying to say that the correction is finished. I was buying Bitcoin, and a lot of you were buying Bitcoin with me back in 2023, 2022, 2023, when the stochastic on Bitcoin was oversold down here, when Bitcoin was at 15K. Now you can see that the stochastic on Bitcoin on the monthly is all the way in the overbought. If you don't know how to read stochastics, I teach you in the crypto master course and the stock guru master course. And if you haven't taken those courses, if you're trading, you're going to lose your money. I would highly recommend you take the courses or you read books before you do any trading. Make sure you've either taken the courses or you've read the book Technical Analysis for the Financial Markets. It was written, I think, around 50 years ago, that book, not by me. So underneath this video, so the stochastic here oversold. That was the time to buy Bitcoin when it was at 15K. The stochastic now extremely overbought. This is the time to sell Bitcoin. It's not the time to buy Bitcoin on the monthly charts when it's overbought. You can see here when Bitcoin was overbought like this last time, that was the month of the top at 69K on Bitcoin in 2021, already 3 years ago. So just keep that in mind. The time to buy on any asset, and this applies to everything. You can see here, if you go to anything and you do this, Ethereum, on the stochastic, time to buy Ethereum was down here when it was extremely oversold on the monthly stochastic. When Ethereum was, we were buying it at $700 on the bear market. Time to sell Ethereum is when it's extremely overbought, like it is up here. You can do this with any asset. You can do it the same with Google. We can go to Google. Time to buy Google was when Google was, we bought it, by the way. I bought Google. If you followed my videos, we were buying at the exact bottom at $80. Time to buy Google was when the stochastic was extremely oversold down here. Time to sell Google is when it's overbought up here. Same can be said. You can see here when in 2021, the top of the market, you can see was extremely overbought. You can see here. How long it stays in overbought, though, is the key. But just keep that in mind, that the time to buy is when it's extremely oversold. The time to get out is extremely overbought. And all of crypto, like all the big ones, tokens have already made that move. So just keep that in mind. Let's go closer. Daily, it's oversold, so we're going to get a little bit of a bounce back. And you can see the stochastic applies even on the shorter time frames, but the monthly and the weekly is the key. But you can see here that it's like overbought here in the April, it was overbought here in March, and then it fell down. You can see after the overbought, it was oversold here in the beginning of March. That was a good time to buy before that run up. You can see it's oversold now. You can see over here, it was overbought for a long time as it moved up. It stayed in overbought for a long time. So that's the thing, that it can also be in overbought for a while, but it was already made the meat of the move. So if Bitcoin does manage to hold here, you can see this triangle that's playing out on Bitcoin. This one here, symmetrical triangle. And if it manages to hold here, you can see Bitcoin will do this. Usually breaking out 70% of the move in August. If this triangle holds up. If it doesn't and Bitcoin does correct further, 52K is the next major area of support. And to be honest, it does look very topish. Rounding top, double top. A lot of top signs, you could say. So just keep that in mind. I've got a lot of buy orders at 52K. So you can see here, I've got orders to activate trades, 1 Bitcoin at 59K, 2 Bitcoin at 52K, and that's my derivatives trade. And you can see here, I've got orders, 1 Bitcoin at 59K, 2 Bitcoin to buy spot at 52K, and I'm going to close this trade. This trade is almost back into even, going into the halving, which is coming up in like around 30 out in the next day. Can pump into the day, but it just looks like it's just managing to hold on, but it could easily get a rebound and come up to the top of the channel. But in my opinion, again, I really do think that the time to buy Bitcoin, if you're going to catch short-term trades, you can catch a bounce, but the main areas to buy is 52K and 48K on a pullback after a 300% move up. But we are holding here on the daily stochastic oversold, 4-hourly stochastic already overbought. We got a little bit of a bounce of 52k, and we got a double bottom of 59k, sorry. Small double bottom on the 4-hourly. But it's already overbought, and it seems to be curving back down again, which is quite interesting. The volume is also dropping on Bitcoin. Well, not dropping, quite holding the volume as it's been since we've come up from 40k, but it's not increasing, and that's something to be worried about. That's my concern. And you can see that we're still in this bull flag. We're still symmetrical triangle. It can still bounce, and we can still go into the halving moving up. That's what on the announcement of the halving, I am going to close this Bitcoin trade and see how it reacts, because I do think we can come down quite easy to 52k and 48k if we don't get a strong rally right now going into the halving, which in my opinion, just based off this formation, it doesn't look like we're getting. Why? Because you can clearly see it's got symmetry here. Like if you were to, can see there's symmetry here. Another thing, it's a big M pattern, McDonald's. Another thing, it's going into the halving and not pumping. Another thing, it's going to the halving and volume is not increasing. But again, Bitcoin is already corrected 20%. So the minimum that it requires is 23%. So it is close to being already the third to fourth wave being counted as a correction. So just keep that in mind. But for me to go heavy long, I would open big trades at 52k like I've got set. This is the trade I would open on Bitcoin for heavy longs to catch a move up. Again, going back to all-time highs in the new Elliott wave count after a big correction. For short-term but riskier trade, and then you can hold this trade. I would hold going to the top of the bull market, which is usually 580 days after the halving. Almost 2 years after the halving, you get the top of the bull market. Next, what I would do is I would take a leverage long of 59k, which I already have open, and it's gonna add another Bitcoin at 59k. Leverage long just for the bounce, and I would close them all at this resistance area. That's the two trades that I would take on Bitcoin. This is a long video. Those are the two trades. You can see it. Pause it here and you can see it. Over on Bybit, I've got this trade open and I've got those orders set. 2 Bitcoin at 52k, 1 Bitcoin at 59k, 2 Bitcoin at 52k spot, WorldCoin, Pocket, Uniswap, Doge, Bitcoin buy orders when going down. This account 612, which is beautiful. If you want to do everything you saw me do underneath the video, go down below under the video. One is the exchanges I use. Bybit gives you a $30,000 bonus when you use this link and meet their trading requirements. 2 is the courses, the Crypto Master course. You can learn TA and everything I do, and join us in the Telegram. And yeah, if we were pumping, like if we were showing more strength and more volume going into the halving, I would add to my spot positions here on Bitcoin, and I would add to my leverage positions going into the halving announcement. But the problem is I'm not seeing that right now. I'm seeing Bitcoin is showing weakness and lowering volume going into the announcement of the halving. Let's see how it plays out. It was already close to opening my trade at 59k yesterday. It came down to 59,700. And you can see there is a double bottom here, but not much of a meaningful bounce after. Not some huge pump back to 64k, 67k, just a 2k move and then correcting down. I need to monitor it. Those are the two trades I'll take on Bitcoin. And you can learn how to open my trades in the Crypto Master course. You learn how to open the trades. And remember, this should always be 3 times less minimum than the gain. And that's the minimum. You can see here, this is about 119 times the gain, risking 530 to make $63,000. That's the trades. You need to learn how to set up the trades. Thank you for watching, everyone. That's the updates in the market. You can all discuss in the Telegram. There's 88 of you online right now. There's 3,000 of you in the chat, and you can see people making gains on Jamesy, people trading, discussing why Grayscale's dumping. United States 30-year mortgage rate moves back over 7%. And you can just discuss with other crypto traders and stock traders there. Thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.